Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Pestridge. Welcome to another P3D video, and today I'm going to go through a new pack that I've just put together called the Global Atmospherics Pack, and this completely redesigns the visual look of the P3D version 5.3 sim, completely upgrading the look of everything, basically. The trees, the buildings, the water, the clouds, the lighting, the way it transitions from night to day, and even what the nighttime will look like. It's a complete overhaul. So I'm basically going to go through with you in this video step by step on how to implement it. Now, if you don't want to hear me waffling on and explaining how to install it, you can go down into the description box down below. There is a link to my Discord where the files are hosted. Grab the pack and install it, and away you can go. I do recommend you listen to the video though. So what it affects basically is we're going to fly over to the water and I'll show you the water, but it affects basically the trees, the landscape, the buildings, the clouds, the lights, the way the atmosphere scatters across the horizon itself, the night lighting, the roads on the night lighting, the water textures, the way they reflections themselves, the way the PBR dances, shadows, basically just everything you see in the sim. So if anybody doesn't know, when version 5 first came out, TRUESKY, the volumetric cloud atmospheric, was in beta, and it didn't look too good, but then 5.1 came out and they took it out of beta and it looked great. They did a hotfix, I think, in 5.1, and it just completely ruined the visual look that I enjoyed. So I put my head into TRUESKY, talked to Simul, people who created TRUESKY, got as much information about the program as I could, and then started to create my own CFG file that controls the volumetric clouds to get them as realistic as possible. And since then, I think I've come up with like 2 more configurations, and this is my latest configuration, which I haven't really shared with the community, but I've been using it for the past like 7 months, so it's included in this pack. What else is included in this pack is a shading file, which will completely redesign your sim, a HDR file, a deferred composite file, and the volumetrics cloud CFG. But I really recommend watching this video to sort of show how to put it in. So once we get down to the ground here, I'm going to show you what you need to do. So this basically has been designed to work with the Active Sky weather engine, the volumetric clouds at least. So that's the preferred weather engine to use. I haven't tested it with Skyforce, but Active Sky has everything you need. First things first, with the Active Sky program, there's a couple of options that you need to make sure that are ticked before you continue. So go into your cloud options here. Simulator depiction. Make sure the prevent a volumetric cloud control box is ticked, and that way Active Sky will not play with the VC file that I've created, and that you've got enable detailed EA clouds ticked as well, and that will basically give you very sharp clouds close to your plane, and then they kind of blur off to the distance. So that's the first thing to do. Second thing to do is head into your color management section of Windows, either 10 or 11, and make sure you're using the correct profile. So I've got a 4K monitor, but I'm not using HDR, so included in this pack is the best RGB profile. Make sure you calibrate your display properly to your monitor using the monitor's own controls, and then select this one. If you're using a 4K monitor with HDR, then you need to be using the reference display color profile. They're both included in here. And then finally, the sort of third disclaimer is that it uses the program, which I'll boot up now, Evan Direct or Evan Shade and Evan Shade Plus. So really need to make sure that they both are installed Evan Plus is more like basically a expansion pack to Evan Shade, so they all have the same sort of tweaks. There are a couple of more in Evan Plus, and Evan Plus is still being developed, so this isn't compatible with RD presets, RD Shade or Reshade. In fact, I don't even recommend using Reshade. It'll actually hamper your performance, and it was kind of developed and made for, you know, version 4 anyway. So but RD Shade is also an option, but this pack is designed to work with the Evan Direct's Evan Shade program. So make sure you've got that installed, and then all you'll have to do is go in and click load and make sure the Sky Shade configuration is in the directory. There is a README file included in with the pack. Once you've loaded your file and you import it into your sim, clear your shaders folder first before you boot up the sim. Once you've installed that, the next thing to do is to install these two shader files on top, and then that will complete your installation once you've also popped in the volumetric cloud CFG file. Everything, all the paths that you need to know are in the README file, and now I'm going to go through basically what changes have been made. Let me put this on the other screen. So like I said, it completely redesigns the visual look of your sim, and it gives it that sort of Microsoft look from the defaults. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a default, but a lot of people I see sort of, you know, on streams, on videos, just saying that P3D doesn't look good. You know, one thing to know about P3D is P3D will only ever look as good as you make it. It really relies on the user to determine the visual look of the sim, because this simulator for P3D is a military training sim. It's not like a visual sim. So, you know, it's designed just to give you the sim quickly and the whole world, and you don't have to rely on the internet. But then it's up to you to update that default. Change the camera system, change the land, change the planes, change the textures, and this global atmospherics pack is specifically designed to work with my previous 3 packs. The global terrain pack, which completely changed all the land textures, road textures, the oceanic pack, which replaced all the ocean water textures, and the sky pack, which basically reintroduced the ozone layer and completely changed the volumetric clouds. And this volumetric clouds is different to the sky pack one. So once you've installed those 3 packs, install this. So like I said, what you get in this is new volumetric clouds to appear more realistic, more immersive, less waffle, and just generally looking better, used with the Active Sky weather engine. The shaders have been redesigned to basically the horizon line I've expanded, and the scattering, you'll notice that there's like a blue haze that comes up to about here. That's the atmosphere scattering. I've increased the distance for it so it's close to the camera, and it's more intense for blue because atmosphere is blue. I don't know if you can actually see the sky color, but I've saturated the sky, given it a more blue appearance, so it actually looks like a blue sky rather than sort of a faded sky. I've increased the terrain saturation as well, so like the land will be more realistically colored than it was before, but also darkened as well. And even all the trees and the buildings have been given a darkened saturation as well, so they actually sort of stand out more like trees and buildings realistically. I always thought the trees looked far too colorful and cartoony. The water has been given more reflectivity and more sort of bluer tone. The shadows on the aircraft have been overhauled as well. You can just sort of see on this side, so they look more like a shadow. Basically the entire lighting system has been redesigned. I've introduced waves, giving them a higher scale, so they actually look a lot better. The global reflectivity of PBR has been dialed down because I just found it way too reflective. The scenery PBR brightness has also been dialed down. Again, I found that too sort of reflective. But if your plane has been given the accurate PBR, then it will also, metal will look like metal instead of sort of a matted dull look. I've also changed the nighttime sunset and sunrise. So if we just take it down a little bit, you'll see, I mean, this is basically what it's going to look like as the time dilates past. So you can sort of see now the change of the time. It just looks a lot better. There's been less red in the sky at the sunset time. That's been dialed down. The sky, in fact, has given more of what P3D version 3 was given, with the ozone layer reintroduced. The roads have been sort of toned down a little bit, but the bright lights have been set up. Now I use black marble night lighting, so this works best with black marble night lighting. There's also in the README file some edits that you need to pop in your P3D CFG as well, to get an accurate sort of lighting on the sim, because at the end of the day, this pack really relies on your monitor displaying colors and brightness accurately. It also relies on the sim, you know, doing it properly. So the best way to calibrate your monitor to make sure you're displaying everything accurately is run through the color management calibration tool with your monitor. Turn off any auto color, auto brightness, auto contrast, auto noise reduction. Make sure you've got the correct gamma selected, and make sure if you are using a HDR monitor that you're either in the full or limited range, making sure that the HDMI black level is accurate. Then once you've done that, in your GPU, we'll quickly bring it up. Now this is mainly for NVIDIA users because I don't use AMD, so I haven't got a clue. Go into the color settings, click override to reference mode, and then in the adjust video color settings, make sure you are using NVIDIA settings. Don't touch these sliders. Make sure the gamma is at 1, and if you have got a 4K monitor, use the full range. If you've got a 1080p monitor, use the limited range. Now this works best if in Windows you aren't using HDR. So in the Windows color, if you go to the color settings here, I haven't got my HDR active, so this will work best with that not active. If you have got it active, it still will work. P3D has allowed for that, but I turn off the HDR in Windows. I don't think they've, you know, accurately sorted it yet, to be honest. Maybe in Windows 11 it's different. I'm using Windows 10 myself. Once you've run through the calibration tool, once you've run through that GPU, put the settings in the README file into your P3D CFG. That will add a time difference of when the lights go down by an hour, as well as a few other tweaks, but it will set your sim up to be accurate. And then finally, once you've entered all that in and you've put the global atmospherics pack in, calibrate your sim to your monitor using the brightness and saturation. Just like, don't copy my values because these are specific to my monitor, but just sort of set yours up like a little bit, tweaking what visually looks good, and make sure it's also at the nighttime as well when you do it, so then you know what nighttime should look like. Some people like to see everything at night. Some people, you know, like to see like a brighter nighttime. So really tune it to the way you like, but brightness and saturation will really determine the sort of look. Now the bloom setting, like anything from 0.7 to 2.0, this really affects the scenery brightness. So if I was to turn it down or up, obviously this affects, like you can see, the sun, which reflects the scenery, probably best viewed during the day. But this will enhance the whites in your sim, so I don't recommend going higher than 2.0. For me, I use 2.0, but don't go as low. Like if you turn it all off, you will have a duller looking sim. Bloom though will also, like your pappy lights will bloom, and displays may sort of bloom, and you don't want that either. So use it with caution. Other things that the global atmospherics pack sort of changes is the trees to the texturing is more natural, is more realistic than it was before. The coloring and the brightness level basically has been altered, so the texturing on the land is more accurate to what it would be in the real world, and then the trees and buildings on top of that are more accurate, as well as the flight deck itself. You know, it looks a lot more sort of natural to what the flight deck would look like. It's not too dark, not too bright. Obviously everything in here depends on the calibration of your monitor. If your monitor isn't calibrated correctly, or you're not using it in the right way, then you will get a very dark cockpit. So make sure you run the calibration tool. But like, that's basically it. Like I said before, the reason I've done this is to sort of give it that Microsoft look. I can't really fly up high to show you the full dynamic of this because they've got a lot of cloud cover here. We can do our best though. Let's try it and let's fly up. But if you do go up to like 20,000 feet, you will properly see what it does, and you'll properly see the scattering effect of the atmosphere. This really does rely on the fact that you turn EA on. And you use volumetric clouds set to the low setting. So I've redesigned this slider. That low takes care of the draw distance of the clouds to the horizon and the shadows. It creates the resolution to be 768. Now TrueSky texturing only goes to 1024, so there's absolutely no point in having 2048 or 4096 because you're just overperforming your hardware for nothing. So the low setting is what you need to set it on. Enhanced atmospherics ticked, God rays ticked, windshield effects ticked, and I mean lighting you can do what you like with, but I've got my shadow quality and draw distance on both on high, and that's basically it. Reflections you can do what you want with. Water needs to be on ultra. Special effects, detail and distance both need to sit on high, and that's basically it. Once you've done all that, you will be good to go. Let's try and get above these clouds. Probably best to do this inside the flight deck so we can see our speed. It is super important that you apply the tweaks in order, like they say in the README file, and that you apply those tweaks in the P3Dv5.3 file, otherwise you won't get the same results. The reason I've done this pack is mainly because I think it's pretty much common knowledge that Lockheed Martin have kind of moved on to the next version, possibly, and this could be the final version of version 5. So the shaders are most likely completed, finished. They're not going to touch them. But anytime you run a repair on any Orbex products or the scenery or the content or the client of the sim, you do need to reinsert all my packs, and you do need to reinsert this global atmospherics. If there ever is an update to version 5, again, once you've completed the update, you will need to reapply everything. Now, the reason why I use volumetric clouds, I will say this real quick. A lot of people I see, especially streamers, they like the old legacy cloud system of textures. Now, when you disable volumetric clouds, you're disabling the volumetric sky, right? And what a volumetric sky is a sort of natural curvature, natural curve of pressure in the sim. So it's a linear dynamic transition rather than a step gradient climb, which is what the legacy cloud system is. You know, your barometric pressure on your display here is set at certain levels within the sim around the world. So you really have to be let's do some climbing. You really, you know, have to climb, you know, fast to see the, you know, the step climb change. But in the volumetric setting, not only can you actually fly through clouds, you know, but you will sort of, rather than gradient steps, it will be natural sort of fluid curve of the barometric pressure that will change as you climb, and it's different for different times and around the world. Clouds are a lot different in the volumetric skies. I do believe TrueSky looks way more realistic than 2D textures, which are flat and they take a lot of CPU performance. If you have a better CPU than you do have a GPU, maybe the legacy cloud system would be for you, but I definitely, my GPU can handle the EA on and volumetric clouds, and I do recommend turning EA on because it basically changes the lighting system completely, enabling PBR to be really reflective, so metal will end up looking like proper metal. The lighting of the sim is much more akin to the actual real world sun, whereas if it's turned off, it's all done by textures and shades, so you know, you really rely on the texture for the sky color, for the sun itself, for everything. Whereas if you add volumetric clouds, you suddenly just are entering into a new modern day sim world, you know, that is just so much better, you know. Uh-oh, we're stalling. We're stalling. Oh bugger. Oh bugger. Hang on, I've got to try and recover this one. Here we go. Here we go. Trying to climb above the weather, but, you know, we're flying through it. There we go. That's better. So, yeah, so the clouds, like I say, have been updated from my previous TrueSky config file. This is giving a lot more sort of randomized edging, actually based on the Rex sky clouds. In fact, Rex was the first company to try and introduce volumetric pressure into the sim with their Skyforce app back in, you know, version 4, I think it was, and FSX. But it was kind of like a faked volumetric sky, but it was a volumetric sky that they were introducing, and luckily Lockheed Martin introduced it at default. But yeah. We got layers on layers of clouding here. Look at this. I mean, it's just like, how can you not love that? Like, it's amazing, guys. Seriously. Like, what the F? I don't get how people don't use volumetric clouds. I mean, look, that just looks real, doesn't it? Never mind your 2D textures. These are actual, you know, flyable 3D clouds that you can actually fly in and out of. Little fluffy, beautiful clouds, you know, that react and sort of your plane reacts to, rather than a 2D texture that is like a switch on and off. You know, there's no dynamicness to it. So, anyway, guys, go grab it. It's in my Discord now. This is the final one. I'm not going to be tweaking anymore. Hopefully maybe the next version of the sim will look like this, but this is basically your P3D Microsoft look sim. It's really going to transform the way you fly in P3D, and it's only for P3D5.3. It's not compatible with 5.2, 5.1, or 5.0, or even version 4. And if you do every step that is in the README file, you will get a sim that looks like this if you use Active Sky and my previous 3 packs. The link to the 3 packs and how to calibrate your monitor is down below. Make sure you follow the calibration of the monitor first. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm going to go now, and I'm going to leave you with some beautiful visuals. Don't forget, I run a competition or a giveaway every month. At the end of every month, I go live with a vlog, and I give away 50 euros of Sim Market vouchers to one of the subscribers on my channel. So all you have to be in with a chance to win is a subscriber on my channel. Leave a comment down in any one of my P3Ds for the month, and when I go live, I will read out the winner's name. Contact me, you get your vouchers. Everyone's a winner. This is the Global Atmospheric Pack. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.